Hey, 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 welcome to Mind Power Meets Mystic. I am Cinthia Varkevisser, your spiritual shit disturber and resident mystic. My pal, Michelle Walters, Ms. Mind Power, and my lovely co-host has the day off. So I get the chance to talk to you about whatever the F I want. That's not true. I already told her what I was going to be talking about, and she thinks it's fab, which is strategic intuition. Let's get into it. What is strategic intuition? People think it's like a not quite an oxymoron, but like, how does that go together? I know strategy, like I use strategy in work, I use strategy in games, I use strategy in how I get through my day. And I know intuition. Intuition is this knowing place, this feeling place. And the answer is yes to both. Now put it together. What a lot of people don't do is they don't use their intuition. And when they do use their intuition, they are just one step away from realizing that they can use their intuition however they please, meaning that there are some times where we don't need to use our intuition, that we get to be in this feeling place. And there are times when our intuition is activated and is giving us these downloads. But the one step further is to say, is this information for me? Is this information to be shared? Is this information so that I may be a more compassionate person and a witness? All right. Now, that's one side of it. Let's think about it on the other side with business. Strategic intuition is how do you communicate better, when to speak, when not to speak. It's about knowing when your intuition wants to put you in action or it wants you to be in a knowing space. When your intuition has you taking action, then the best thing that you can do is to take directive as um, well, directive as directly as possible, pretty much, right? Is to take it verbatim and just trust. The hard part, again, and the beautiful one, is that if the intuition is for knowing, then the question is, the second question with your intuition is, how do I witness compassionately as this person moves through their uncomfortableness for their growing moment, right? So strategic intuition embodies trusting what you feel and what you've analyzed simultaneously. It's a freaking amazing tool. So let me tell you how I use it in my work. The best way to describe has to the best way to describe a situation would be when I work with couples. Now, I have one couple in mind. They are so lovely. They love each other deeply and have a stressful life. They have two young children. They have jobs that they are not quite in love with. They know that they have a passion beyond, and they have familial duties that are beyond their nuclear family that they feel very, very tied to. And so, in stressful situations, it's already a challenge to be able to communicate and then to find that both of them communicated differently and they couldn't get their point across was a huge source of their struggle. So I came in as their mystic, and my job was to um, help them communicate better. So where the strategic intuition came in, I had them in together speaking about their challenges. And my strategic intuition knew when to interject and when to hold, right? To be quiet and just to let them keep processing. My strategic intuition also told me, hey, this is a topic that they're not ready to talk about. It's too hot, it's too charged, or we're not going to talk about that topic because that's only something that the wife is challenged with, not the husband. And so that's not important. And this was all being done intuitively because what they were talking about was just a regular day. And then what I did was I took something that was a challenge for the wife and relayed it to the husband in a way that he could understand, that he could digest, that he could um, respond to in a way that was calm and kind. And then I did the same for the wife. I um, relayed the information of the challenge for the husband, but in a way that she understood, in a language that she could embrace and embody. And so um, with that, they had a chance to see what the trigger words were, or not the trigger words, what the keywords were, or the approach. Um, if you ever have a session with me, I'll always say my highest um, my highest desire is to make sure that you get the most information possible for you to take away with. And so it's really important that you let me know if you disagree or if you're unclear. And what I will do is I will change the words, not the message. And strategic intuition for me does that. I could change the words so that each partner could hear the message that they wanted so badly to hear and to relay the message that they so badly wanted to give. And that couple started working on things. Then what we did is we came up with a very digestible menu, not a menu, homework, so that they can work on things very practically and sit and work their way through, which I think is beautiful because they knew that their relationship was much more important than the grievances that they had and not being able to communicate. Make sense? All right. So, how else can you use strategic intuition? Well, I already showed you that strategic intuition helps you communicate more clearly from your side and as you relay it to the person that you're communicating with. It's about changing the words and not the message. Strategic intuition will also help you know when something is ending and to accept it and to find the cleanest way possible for this thing to end. It could be transactional, it could be a deal, it could be um, a transaction. I think about real estate when we do this. I think about clients when they're ready to move on from their coach or their therapist and they don't really know how to do it. Well, therapists have learned and they know how to do it, but as a client, you want to be able to have that skill as well, right? It also, again, tells you when to be in action and when to witness. If you're a parent, you know that there's a moment when your baby is learning to walk and they've got, lots of padding on their ass because of those, really nice diapers, but you still are like, oh, my baby's falling. And at the same time, you know that your baby is learning to walk. And so that is the best way I can explain witnessing compassionately, allowing the other to work their way through their challenge the way that they want to do it. And the universe is saying, hey, you're here to witness and to provide advice, suggestions, support as it's asked. Otherwise, you're there to tell them what a fantastic fucking job they did when they get out on the other side. All right. So I have a story for you because sometimes when we are working with someone, we're not sure, like I hear this all the time. Is it him? Is it me? Is it something else? Is the timing just not right? Usually that's relationship wise, but it also happens in business as well. So I have a really great realtor friend. His name is Bob, and he had a house that was absolutely brilliant. It was in a great location in San Francisco. It had all the charm. It was priced appropriately, and that house was not getting any action. There would be some viewings, but not a whole lot. And the people would be mildly interested, but not enough to even come for a second time. So I went through the clearing, and the house, of course, needed to be cleared because it was over 100 years old, and there, were areas that needed to be, um, brought forward, amped up, some things that were released. But strategic intuition told me that the owners were a couple, even though on the deed it was only one person. So technically, Bob only had to work with this one person. And the partner even said, "Hey, this is my partner's house. Don't worry about me." But what Bob didn't know is that partner that didn't have a decision was in the owner's ear and kept saying things so that when Bob would come back for a follow-up conversation, they were not in the same place again. So, what we did after clearing the house is I helped him understand his intuition and how he could work the communication in a way that he can anticipate the comments that the partner would have, and also a way to let the partner feel welcome and included in such a way that even though they weren't a decision maker, that they were part of the process. And then that brought them together. It took a little bit of time because, you know, it takes a little bit to understand your intuition and how you work. When I help people find out their inner brilliance and work that inner mystic in themselves, it's really a broad framework. And my intuition is telling me how to lead you to your intuition and your magic. So every training is always a little bit different. All right. Um, so that was an example of something that it wasn't the person involved, it wasn't the other person, but something on the outside. Sometimes it's environmental, right? Sometimes it's timeline that things aren't working. Your intuition will help you figure that out. Now, it also helps in ways of being a leader. And I will tell you that um, in a marriage and partnerships, there is a leader. The leader isn't there all the time because we always take turns, but there are times when I'm in my partnership and I take lead because this is something I feel deeply in, or I have much more emotional knowledge or experience. And there are times when that is not my game, and my partner goes in and takes charge, and I get to learn and I get to see my partner in action and have her do her brilliant things. So in this one client that I'm thinking about, she was, and she still is, brilliant in her business life. And she couldn't seem to manage her family life. And she couldn't understand because she was running her business like she was running her family. And if it works in business, it should work in family. That is true to a point. The challenge is when you're working in business, the people that you're working with, they go home. You get a break from them. When it comes to family, one is that you're much more emotionally involved, and so it's hard to detach. And the other um, is that they're 24/7. Like, I have a kid in Dominique who's in Japan right now, and I'm still her mom. I'm still attached to her, even though I think it's 16 hours away, right? And so it's a little bit harder to work strategic intuition or just plain intuition without getting the emotions involved, right? Which fucks up the intuition. But anyway, back to this woman. She knew that there was something going on in her marriage and would take a look at it and then focus on work, and take a look at it and focus on work, and then take a look at it and then focus on her kids, and then take a look at it and focus on the family. It took a little bit more than a year, and there was a lot of clearing that was done, as well as a lot of inner brilliance coming forward about what her inner mystic was like. But it took all that footwork for her to finally discover that she was no longer aligned with her husband, and that they were at a point where she knew that there was no going back. that there was no um, coming back together, and it was time to move on. Now, as her inner mystic coach, I knew that it was the marriage, and I knew that there was, um, that there was conflict. But my my strategic intuition said this is not the time, right? This is not the place. And so we, walked through so many things. And that's what makes a really good coach, a good friend, is to know when to step forward and when to hang back, right? And when you're hanging back, you're there to rub their shoulders or cheer them on or catch them if they ask, right? Um, and strategic intuition will help you with that. So now that you know what it is and how can it help you, let me give you some tips and tricks so that you can kind of start working your strategic intuition for yourself. I'm actually using the same method that I used for a workshop called Drop of Fear and Make Your Decision, a collab with Michelle. And it's really important to be able to be clear. And because from clarity, all these great things come. So we're going to call it a mystic map. And the reason I call it a mystic map is because you have to really access your physical body, your emotional body, your amazing brain, and sit with all these three things and let them have a conversation together, right? And so everybody's map is a little bit different, the way that they process, but the steps are going to be the same. And I like to call it the dunk method. I wanted to come up with a like naughtier word, but dunk is as good as it got because it's short and it makes sense. So we have four steps and it's DUNK. The first thing we're going to do is that when you're in a challenge, the first thing that you want to do is detach. What I find is that when people are in a challenge, they're either overthinking it or overfeeling it. And it's really hard to like cut loose one or the other. But really that is the most important thing to do is to detach, which means you can still be upset, but you don't want to be so upset that you're in lockjaw, emotionally or analytically, and that you go into these little brain loops. So detaching is, okay, I'm upset, my feelings are hurt, but let me step back for a minute and let's take a look at really what's going on. All right? So that is the first one is detaching. And once you can detach, we don't need to look at the thing that we're detaching from. What we're doing is we're uncovering all the signals that we're getting from our body and our emotions and separating, okay, is that an emotional thing that I'm feeling, or is this where my intuitive truth is? And from that intuitive truth, we can move to the next place. The next place is you uncover. In the uncovering, what happens is that we are noticing this is actually good information. It's information that I haven't used before, but I'm going to experiment with it now. Or, wow, this is where I've always been. This is a path I always go down, and I'm not getting any different results. So let me just not use that for right now. And so you're going to uncover all the signals that you're getting from your different bodies. Okay? And you're going to decide which ones you're going to pay attention to and which ones you want to set aside for just a moment. From there, you're going to go to N and you're going to notice. And what you're noticing is, hey, I'm feeling not as anxious, or I'm feeling much more clear, or I'm feeling very grounded, or I'm feeling super, super, super um, um, trustworthy and trusted. I'm feeling like this is the right path. I'm feeling that this is not the right path and I'm still in my head. So these are the things that you're going to notice. With the noticing, you're going to keep practicing, right? Because this is not a 1 day thing or a 10-minute thing. It takes a little while to detach. It takes a little bit longer to notice or to uncover the things that have been wanting to communicate with you for a long time. And then it takes a little while to experience the things that are happening, right? In the noticing. And then the last thing is that it then becomes a part of our protocol. Like I know when someone's bullshitting themselves, and so then I have to do my check quick. Strategic intuition. Do I sit and let them go through their whole bullshit story? Do I call them on their bullshit? Do I just kind of sit? That's what strategic intuition is. And once I get to that place, then I'm in the K space. I'm in the knowing space. So from there, we can do so many things, but it starts with dunking. Detach, uncover, notice, and then turn that all into an experience, right? Turn it into knowing. Once we do that, here's the cool thing, we can go, oh my God, I can use this here and in this situation, in this situation. And you'll find that you'll be applying it in your personal life, in your business life, with friends, with family, with yourself, right? I love catching myself in my own bullshit because then I get to laugh at myself without having anybody else laughing, quote unquote, with me, right? Okay, so here's your challenge. I'd like you to pick one thing that's bugging you, one person, one thing, and use the dunk method, right? And feel your inner mystic map. See where it takes you because how you process this is how you process everything. The process just happens to go more quickly as you become used to it, right? Then when you see how you process and how you can change your results, then what I'd like you to do is think how it can serve you, how this strategic intuition can serve you, how it can help you lead, how it can help you be of service, how, if you're a disruptor like me, a shit disturber, how you're going to use it to disrupt in the best way possible. How are you going to create impact? Sometimes creating impact is right, is standing very still. Sometimes it's about creating big waves. Your strategic intuition will let you know. All right. So I hope that you got a lot out of this, the strategic intuition, what it is, how it can help you, how to get you started. And if it's a challenge for you, then book a session with me. I'm happy to be of service. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for listening to Mind Power Meets Mystic. You'll be listening to me and Michelle Walters next week. Very excited, where we'll be getting back into the chakra system and how work and chakras align. All right, take care and have a good one. Bye.